found the Urantia Book in 1974, and at the time I was an agnostic. I had been raised a Christian, but kind of a fundamentalist Christian. They were big on the hell idea, and so all my friends were going to be going to hell. And I went, wait a minute, how could there be a loving God that's going to burn all my friends whom I care about in hell for eternity just because they don't believe something? So I had become an agnostic, but I was really feeling empty. And I was searching for truth. And in the 70s, I was a hippie, and I ran across a bunch of people who were traveling. I picked up some hitchhikers that had a sign that said, "Love never fails, no exceptions." And they turned out to be part of a group of people who were traveling around the country. They had the Urantia Book, and they were just spreading the Urantia Book. So I began reading the Urantia Book. Actually, I began reading it because it was required reading to travel with this group of people. Otherwise, I'm not sure I would have read a 2,096-page book. And I'd read maybe 300 pages of it, and I was still an agnostic. I was still questioning whether or not there was really a God. And I overheard somebody talking about Jesus' dual mission to this planet, that yes, he came to reveal God to man, but he also came to reveal man to God. You know, what a perfect man could be. And as he was talking, all of a sudden, in my mind, everything started going click, 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 click. It was like dominoes falling down in a row. And everything started to come together in my head. Everything that I'd learned in school all my life, everything that I'd been reading in the Urantia Book so far, even my Christian education, it all started making sense. And everything was coming together. It was really exciting. And then all of a sudden it stopped in my head. And it stopped because there was a break, a crossroads, and I needed to make a decision. And I realized that I could never prove materially the existence of God. Like, I had been kind of waiting for a burning bush. I thought, well, if God could send a burning bush to Moses, if there is a God, why not me? But in that moment, I realized that there was no way that even if I were to see a burning bush or hear a voice or something, that would simply be, the next day I could say it was a hallucination. So I realized that I needed to make a decision. I needed to make a decision to have faith in God or not to have faith in God. So I said, okay, let me look over the options here. If I am going to have faith in God, then I'm a child of God. If there is a God, I'm a child of God, and everyone is my brothers and sisters. And there is this long journey to paradise where we keep learning more and growing spiritually and becoming more perfect and learning how to love our brothers and sisters more and receiving more love from our brothers and sisters and from God, and there's eternal life. Wow, that sounds pretty good. Okay, but what if there's not a God? So then I said, well, if there's not a God, then this is the only life I have. There's no life after this, so I better get what I can while I can. I better be as selfish as I can and just live my life so that I can get as much as I can, because this is all there is. So I looked at these two decisions and went, well, this is an easy decision. I choose God. And as soon as I said that, I felt like this. I actually heard, I didn't literally hear, but there was this voice in my head that said to me in sort of a kidding way, like he was, putting his elbow in my ribs, and he said, of course there's a God. And you knew it all the time, didn't you? And all of a sudden that started going again, and I thought back on my life and I realized, yes, I've really known it my entire life that there was a God. It was just that my mind had, my logic had started to interfere. But deep down, I knew it. Like within my soul, I really knew it. And I've been reading the Urantia Book ever since, and the Urantia Book has been for me, along with that realization of God came the realization that the Urantia Book is what it says it is. It is a revelation of God. And
you have a study group. Why do you think that study groups are important, or what's the value of study groups, having meetings?
well, basically, I think it's valuable to read the Urantia Book on your own. Because that way you can read it meditatively at your own speed, and you can think about what you're reading and all that. But also, it's good to read it with a group of people because you get other interpretations of the book. That's the neat thing about the Urantia Book, is that it can be interpreted different ways. People do interpret it different ways, and so it's really good, and I think it helps you grow in your understanding of God, to study it and hear different people's interpretations. But probably the main reason I love study groups, and I'm a study group junkie, is because I just love the social aspects of it. I just love people who read the Urantia Book, and I love talking about the book with other people, and it just helps me grow to love my brothers and sisters more. And our study group in Portland, Oregon is really, that they're like my family. They are my family. And I just love the people in it. I get so much, social support, and they love me, and it's just fun.
Okay, thanks, Joy.
Okay, thank you, Maya.